Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So I do apologize, I haven't recorded a video yesterday or the day before. I've been really busy with the new internship that I had, that I still have. So today's video, which is why it's being released kind of late, and also it's going to be shorter because I'm already late. So I want to just jump right into this. As you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a very, very large winter storm, a monster storm, if you will. Severe weather, heavy snow, all and cold air behind it. So all of the above, pretty much. And I do want to say, this snow will be affecting areas that haven't really seen snow at all this year, or at least these amounts of snow. And you can see this is the official National Weather Service forecast, snowfall predictions. Obviously, I don't 100% agree with them. I would say there's probably a few areas that I would say differently, but the National Weather Service is obviously your number one weather source. So stay tuned to them, please. Let's go and take a look at the severe weather. You could see, I will divide the video into regions again, so just a little moment here, but I want to go over the large picture first. Notice there's severe weather mainly staying pretty down towards the south, so that's good, but I guess it still affects many large areas, so not that good. And it's an enhanced, maybe a moderate will be issued, who knows. At this point it doesn't matter. The severe weather risk is it's rather there, and it doesn't really matter if it's enhanced or moderate. We can see tornado outbreaks in either of those categories. And let's begin. So let's start off across the western United States. You guys, unlike the north and central and south central United States and eastern and northeastern, you guys have come from an extremely active pattern. While you guys will continue to see some activity, it will be limited and compare pretty much nothing compared to what you guys have been seeing. There will be increased cold air, especially across Montana, Idaho, a bit warmer towards the coastlines in the next 10 to 15 days. But notice that the systems aren't coming off the Pacific, so they aren't moisture laden. Some will still have significant snow. Notice these areas still picking up a nice amount of snow. This is definitely still beneficial. You could see upcoming weekend Saturday, but you guys won't be really directly impacted by the winter storm we're talking about. That thing develops east of the east of the Rockies, and yeah, mainly shows itself off across eastern United States. Not so much the Northwest and Southwest, but do note you guys will still be seeing activity, but from different systems. Again, I'm not doing this too precisely, but you could see that Saturday, Sunday, this upcoming weekend, I know it's still Monday, so it's far away, you guys could see some precipitation, and because it's so little, in a way of forecast for you guys, so little confidence, and it's just still kind of far away, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Obviously, I'll keep you guys updated, but you could see maybe more of a Pacific flow coming in February, but again, even that doesn't seem too intense, so we'll have to wait and see. For now, Northwest, nothing too incredible. Expect some snow and some rain across the weekend. Southwestern United States, similar story, but potentially even less active. Obviously, we do have the system, the storm that we're talking about in the title. It is across Arizona, New Mexico, Mexico itself, delivering snow across lower elevated areas. I mean, you can see the panhandle of Texas getting walloped right there. That's good news for the drought-stricken areas. Obviously, some snow across the Rockies into Wednesday, but again, this system's out of here by really Wednesday, so just tomorrow. And you can see Thursday, Friday, a little bit of activity towards, again, the north there with those waves coming in from the north and west, but Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, not seeing too much precip, a little bit here and there. Monday, Tuesday of next week, maybe another decent wave across the same time next week, but you can see it's going to be a kind of a tale of two temperatures. There's going to be colder, if not very cold temperatures just towards the north and west, in the southwest you can see, and then pretty warm elsewhere, so it's going to be a contrast. And do note that maybe again towards February we do see more of a Pacific flow, not monsters though, still precipitation enough to kind of keep things a little interesting. So it's kind of good. We don't want more rain across California for now. Long term wise, that's a very good thing for the drought. Let's take a look now at the north central United States. These areas are the ones that are going to get well, let's put it lightly, they're going to get, well, let's not put it lightly, they're going to get walloped by this thing, especially the areas across the south here. States like Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, you might not get too much out of this, though the pattern is still active for you folks. So in the meantime, a little bit clipper across Wisconsin, Michigan into tonight, delivering some snow, not really noticeable. Into the day, Tuesday, again, because I didn't record a video yesterday or whatnot, the storm is pretty much imminent. Notice it starts spreading into Kansas by early Tuesday afternoon, if not late Tuesday morning, depending on exactly the timing, and that will never be precise precisely accurate down to the hour, but within a few hours. Notice St. Louis, maybe you guys will be beginning with a little bit of rain mixing, probably not really noticeable by Tuesday afternoon and into Wednesday. You guys are getting hit by very heavy snowfall rates. You guys are just northwest of that low pressure, so the snow will be heavy, probably an inch of snow per hour at the peak rates, if not more. Notice Kansas City on the northern edge, but you guys are in a colder area. You really won't have problems accumulating that snowfall. Indianapolis getting on this snowfall. You know, these cities, states, areas haven't seen really at all any snow so far this year, and even if they did, it's definitely not something like this. So notice St. Louis probably will get the most out of this, out of the large cities. Indianapolis, also Columbus, Central Ohio, Detroit, Chicago getting in on this, southern Wisconsin. It won't be a massive storm for Illinois, northern Indiana, but definitely the biggest one of the year, of the season, which doesn't say much because the winter has been rather, let's just say, nice to the areas here, obviously assuming you don't want the snow. Notice that this system itself isn't necessarily too strong, 996 millibars, so it's powerful, but it's not like a bomb, it's not a cyclone. And do note that there could be some snow across Minneapolis, the Twin Cities as well, from a northern piece of energy here. But again, most of Indiana, Ohio in the snow on Wednesday night also. The winds will be off the north and east, so areas like Milwaukee, Chicago could get in on some lake effect. Maybe the eastern areas, eastern areas of state Michigan, which usually don't see that much lake effect, might get in on some. Again, Ohio, you might see some mixing depending on the exact track of this. Kentucky as well, probably some rain, and further south rain as well. But again, just a little of a forecast shift, and this could definitely change. So do note that behind this we see cold air. Again, the Dakotas maybe not necessarily getting impacted too much by this system snow. Some light flurries will be going on today, Wednesday and Thursday, but there will be cold air behind us. Notice lake effect continues into the day on Illinois, Wisconsin. Modest, I would say. It doesn't look absolutely incredible for those folks that are watching from Chicago. I know I have a lot of viewers from the area here. You probably, I would not be surprised though to see some areas, picking up an additional 3 to 4 inches just from the lake effect, but lake effect's very hard to predict, so I don't really want to give out any forecasts. That's probably going to be wrong regardless. Notice Ohio, Kentucky, you guys may see rain, or at least southern areas of those states, but then everything transitions over to some light flurries and snow. And yeah, this thing's out of here by Friday, by Thursday, Friday, but we have more activity moving in the long term. Really not that long term, but in the medium term. The pattern will stay very, very active. Total snowfall, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, you can see, again, amounts are relatively lighter up north still. As surprising as this may seem, for some areas, this is the biggest snow of the year. I know for my area it would be if this comes true, which is another story. Do notice Indianapolis, 9 inches, just south of St. Louis, potentially a lot of snow. And again, the models have been handling this system relatively well, but you can see there's been some fluctuations here between the modeling guidance. Overall, they're pretty consistent, and I would say that the European, has done as good of a job as the GFS. They've both kind of done their fair share of mixing and dancing around. You can see the European resoundingly a little bit more towards the south, right? So maybe Indianapolis getting on some heavier snowfall. That snow track just across the metro there. Northern locations maybe getting a bit less. We'll have to wait and see, but you can see then the cold air follows behind that. Total snowfall, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which across the northern areas it will be a bit fluffier. You can see is something similar to this. So again, pretty similar. And here's what the National Weather Service thinks will be occurring. So again, it's taking kind of a little bit, probably more of the GFS side, I would argue. Let's go on to the south central United States, as you guys will be seeing snow with this. I know for a lot of these folks have been just seeing severe weather with all the winter storms we have been getting in a recent term, right? But this one will be different. You guys will be seeing snow, and actually, because it's so not far out, I could actually use the HER model for this and show you this. So let's start talking about this. We already have the snow currently ongoing across New Mexico. It's pretty visible on the satellite imagery. You're into northern Mexico. And in the next coming hours, so really through tonight, right, 10 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., we start seeing snow across much of New Mexico, Roswell, Albuquerque, all those areas picking up a little bit of snow. Amarillo picking up some snow there, and Lubbock, Texas, right? Areas that haven't really seen much will be picking up on that snowfall. Will be falling heavily at times. Notice quite a bit of rain towards the south. Dallas, probably rain for you guys, unfortunately, just a little too far north of the system. Notice by tomorrow in the morning, this thing's full swing. Oklahoma City getting pounded by snowfall. Maybe a little reluctant, especially with that rain transitioning, so we'll see. For now, though, it looks as if at least a few inches for you guys. Notice this line of storms is extremely impressive. I mean, extremely loaded loaded with rainfall. Obviously, the wind and hail threats also there. And notice that this thing starts sending itself towards the north here. We see a clear comma shaped. Again, thankfully, the winds aren't going to be massive around this thing. There will be some winds, enough to cause maybe a little of an inconvenience, but no blizzard. Notice northern Arkansas, southern Missouri starting to get on that snowfall into 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. St. Louis, again, you may start off with a little bit of rain, but since you're heading into the nighttime hours, cooler temperatures, that probably transitions into snow pretty quickly. Notice, again, northern Arkansas getting on this. Kansas City, you're going to start seeing that snowfall probably 9, 8 p.m. tomorrow, maybe a bit earlier, maybe a bit later. Exact details are never pretty much possible to predict. Notice that line scurries into Mississippi, Louisiana, done with Texas by tomorrow late in the night, but off into the southeast, and then you can see this thing starts spreading northward into Illinois, Indiana, and we see this thing clear out of here by Wednesday. So good news is, if you're looking for some, it's going to be relatively short term, this system. It's not going to linger for too long. Total snowfall, though, will be significant. You can see several areas, a 6 to 10 inch event across these areas, not out of the question. I would say this is a very reasonable snowfall scenario that we have painted out here across these areas, assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, which is probably pretty accurate. So that's that for the South Central. Again, these southern areas here across, especially where the Gulf Coast, borders, you have a pretty good chance of that severe weather. Notice across Texas, I believe that may include Galveston, or just a little north of Galveston. But again, tornado is a pretty darn good threat. You can see 10%. That may not sound a lot, but it's usually a little higher than what we would say typically for an event like this. Wind is also pretty strong, and hail is actually not too bad. So again, wind and tornadoes, so arguably pretty concerning. If you look into the northeast, this is another area that we'll be seeing a lot of, let's just say, chaos from this system, because there's a lot of forecasting differences. You guys are still dealing with the system right now. That will pull away again Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday, probably still fine, at least early parts of it, especially the further north it needs to go. But Ohio, Pennsylvania, you guys will start off all as snow on Wednesday before transitioning into rain. Even New York City, New Jersey, Long Island may start off with a little bit of snow according to the GFS here midday Wednesday, but eventually all snow. Southern Canadian cities, Toronto, Quebec, Montreal, all up and along the St. Lawrence River Valley, you're going to be seeing snow predominantly through this whole entire event. Notice this thing really starts intensifying, developing in low pressure as it hits the northeast here. So the rain goes pretty far towards the north, at least. Some areas are seeing snow right now that will be seeing rain within just a few 24-hour periods. And again, this thing starts intensifying 984, so some of the winds will be picking up as this thing moves through Thursday. However, it's quick, so the snowfall amounts are rather limited. Still, though, you can see a widespread swath, especially across here into southern Canada. Some of the snowfall amounts will be significant here across Maine. These coastal areas, that's overdone. This model includes sleet. That's not really accurate. I would say the National Weather Service has a pretty good forecast of this. You could see the coastal areas a lot more limited with that snowfall. However, upstate Maine, upstate New York, you guys still could see several inches of snow, and even Pennsylvania, before that converts into rain, you guys could see some considerable snow there, 5-6 inches, and that probably won't all melt away even if it rains on it, because right behind the system, again, there will be cold air that moves in. Southeastern United States, again, no real snow for you, I guess, excluding if you consider yourself an Arkansas part of the southeast. Again, looking at the HER model, which I believe is a pretty accurate representation of the snowfall here, you can see it skips most of the areas that you'd classify as the southeast, but the southeast does get in on some severe weather. So if you take a look at the HER model and play this out back in time, Tuesday, you guys are most likely going to still be fine, but the storms start hitting Louisiana into the evening hours tomorrow, and into the overnight into Wednesday, Mississippi, Alabama. This thing's quick moving. You can see it gets into the Panhandle, Florida by the time it's already early Wednesday, and into Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina by the time you get into mid-morning Wednesday. So again, this thing's quick, but you can see especially the southern part of this starts stalling out quite considerably, and there's a pretty darn good threat of severe weather along this line of storms, tornadoes and wind being the highest ones there overnight. So I guess that's the biggest concern area, and you can see this cold front starts to weaken as it hits Wednesday afternoon and into Florida and the Carolinas. Still definitely some powerful storms and some powerful rain, but you can see that the biggest threat of concern is kind of these Gulf Coast states, maybe the extreme northwestern tip of Florida. But other than that, again, once it reaches the southeast here, it doesn't look all that too bad. Total total rainfall will obviously be pretty significant from this, especially where this line, stalls out or does maybe a little bit of a multiple storms over one certain area, right? So that could definitely be a concern. You can see a nice swath of rain though for for many. So that is that. I wanted to just show you the long range because the long range is arguably just as interesting as a short range with this system. Do note that in the long range, what we do have with this system, so that one moves away, right? But you can see we have another reinforcing cold front shot of cold air into Friday, and look, we have another system that develops over the weekend, bringing some snow, right? Not a monster storm, but bringing some snow across the southeast, some storms, and look how far this cold air gets. Potentially the GFS flirting with a ice snowstorm, maybe pretty darn far towards the south and northeast, getting on some snow here. This is far out, so I wouldn't get too excited or concerned, whatever it may be. But it's just hinting at the fact that February does not look too warm. I've been saying this for a while. Some people have been claiming that February will warm up. I do believe there will be a warm up in February, but it does not look like it will be early February. Maybe towards the later half of the month. And some of this cold air will be downright impressive. 2-meter temperature anomalies, you can see, hopefully doesn't get this cold, but it's definitely a possibility. And you can see the 2-meter temperature shaded are showing negative temperatures all the way down into potentially the deep south, so that would not be good. It's definitely a possibility, unfortunately. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. That would basically be it, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.